Hello and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me. This is a small practice that I got to know from the Greater Good in Action, which is basically the Greater Good in Action based in Berkeley. They have science based practices for a meaningful life. And in one of those practices, I came across this practice called the self compassion break. Now, this practice is devised by psychologist Christine Neff, right? So this is devised by psychologist Christine Neff. So this basically practice is that in difficult times, what happens is that we do not practice self-compassion. We blame ourselves. We beat ourselves up, and we become hard. What happens is that more than hard that we are on others, more than that we become hard on us ourselves, right? So this is basically again a very short mindfulness practice, where what we do is that we use this opportunity, whatever difficult opportunity that we have, we use this opportunity to practice self compassion, right? Just take some, it's a 2 minute or it's a 5 minute practice which you can do as many number of times during the day, whenever you face stressful situation, right? So basically it has three components. This, I've just made some notes. So it has three components. First is mindfulness. We bring awareness to the particular difficult situation. Second is feeling of common humanity, right? That we are one with that, with this whole humanity. And third is self kindness, right? So these are the three kind of main pillars: mindfulness, feeling of a common humanity, and self kindness, right? So how to do this practice? This is the time that is required for this practice is like 5 minutes a day. Actually it requires only like 2-3 minutes is also fine. um, what basically is that, first initially if you try it, when you have difficult situations, it may be difficult, it may not be easy, right? Because if you're not used to practicing self compassion, if self compassion is something that doesn't come very easy to you, then it may be difficult initially. But as you grow in self compassion, then it becomes more and more easy, right? So this is again, so till this time what we have done is that we have unconsciously trained our mind to kind of do to practice self judgment. Now what we do is that we will consciously, when difficult feelings arise, we will consciously train our mind to be self compassionate, not beat ourselves up, practice more and more self love, right? Okay, so how we need to do it is that first point is, think of a situation in your life. You can, like, it need not be that you are in a very stressful situation that you do this. You can also bring that difficult feeling up. So suppose if you're facing a difficult situation in your life which is causing you stress, right? You can bring that feeling up. Now if you're a newcomer, if you I mean if you're not very deep in your mindfulness, then do not choose something which is like very traumatic or very overwhelming. Choose something which is mild, right? Or like some conflict you had with someone in your family yesterday, or something not going well in work, just in the last past week, right? Don't bring anything from childhood or something very traumatic. So just bring that into your awareness. Now the first thing is, now get in touch with that situation. Say to yourself that this is the moment of suffering, that right now I'm suffering, right? This is basically acknowledgement that, this is basically, we recognize that right now there is suffering in me, and we accept and acknowledge that suffering is in me, right? And we notice what is going on for us emotionally in the present moment, without judging the experience as good and bad, right? You can also, another alternative way you can say is that this is hurting, or this is stressful for me, right? Or this is paining, this is troublesome, right? Without judging or labeling it, just recognizing it, that right now this is what I'm facing right now. So this is the first step, which is mindfulness, right? Making ourselves aware. Now second is we say to us is that second statement you can use is something like that suffering is a part of life, right? This birth that we have taken, we all are suffering to some extent, some or the other extent, right? It is a part and parcel of the life. So you cannot kind of escape suffering. Suffering is, which Buddha's one of the four noble truths was, Buddha's one of the four noble truths was that life is suffering. So we realize that, we bring into that wisdom that life is suffering, right? Suffering is part of life, right? So we don't treat like our own suffering as something, as an undesirable situation. We accept it, that in this suffering we have to live, right? So we accept that suffering is part of the life. And when we say this, we can also say that others are also suffering, and or others are also feeling this way, or we can say that I am not alone. So when we do that, what happens is that I am re-establishing my connection with the other humanity, right? Or we can also say that we all are struggling in our lives. We all struggle in our lives at some point or the other, right? So this is again a kind of a, I bring myself in connection with my limitations, right? So I am not a superhuman. I am a basic human being, a mortal human being who is struggling, who is suffering, and in that suffering, I have to find my peace. I have to find my happiness. So that is the first thing. The third thing is, now you can do something like, you can put your hand on your heart, right? Feel the warmth of your hands and gently touch on your chest, and you can say, "May I be kind to myself." Right? You are just kind of recognizing that at this point in time when I'm suffering, I can be kind to myself. You can also use any other phrase, like someone can use the Ho'oponopono prayer, that I'm sorry, please forgive me, I love you, I thank you. This is something, some another prayer, beautiful prayer that you can use. Or you can use some like affirmation, like, may I accept myself as I am, or may I learn to accept myself as I am. Or something like, may I forgive myself, may I be strong, may I be patient. Something like this you can do. So this is the third thing. When we do this, we are actually kind of in watering the seeds of self compassion in us. So then there is the seed of anxiety or anger or blame or self pity, which is now coming up in us. So instead of repressing it, we are actually watering the seed right now of self compassion, of mindfulness, and generate that energy in us. So again to recap, first thing what we have to do, the first thing that what basically we have to do is practice mindfulness, right? We have to just be mindful that right now, this is my moment of suffering, I am suffering right now, right? Second, what we have to do is that we have to bring out the feeling of common our connectedness with this whole humanity, where we say that suffering is part of life, or we all struggle at some point in time. And the third, what we have to do is that we have to just gently practice self compassion, that I'm doing my best, or may I be able to practice self compassion, may I be able to give my mind and my body and my soul the love that it needs, right? Something like that. So these are the three aspects you can do. And whenever difficult situations come, try to bring more and more. So entire thing is, no need to just follow exactly what the thing is, in this way. This practice is one of the many practices of self love and self compassion. But do it in your way, whichever way feels good for you. Bring it into your focus. Recognize that you are suffering, feel the connectedness, that and feel that suffering is part of the natural humanity, the natural human limitation that we have. Suffering will be there, right? And third is practice self compassion. Give yourself love. You can send love through the thoughts to your whole body and through your mind, right? You can generate those thoughts, right? Don't ever think that there is some anything as destiny. We create our destiny by the thoughts that we generate. So one is the thoughts that naturally flow in us, and we are get driven those by to take actions towards those thoughts, right? Though on them we have a limited control, we can be more and more mindful. But second is, we can create certain thoughts. So here we are creating thoughts of self compassion, peace, and self love, and that takes care of our anxiety or our difficult patterns, right? So this practice you can do any number of times, day and night. Now one more thing is, the more you do this practice when things are going well, the more it will be easier for you to practice these parts of self compassion, which is mindfulness, common humanity, and self kindness, when you need them the most, right? So don't wait for the storm to come and then you practice it, make it a part of your daily life, right? Somewhere this practice is more or less kind of similar to rain practice by Tara Brach. So rain practice, I've already made the video on my Hindi channel, but I'll also make a video on it on this particular channel. Uh, so uh, so thank you so much for watching this video. I hope this was useful in some way, and I look forward to making more such videos on some small topics.